Welcome to a new series. Now, I warn you, it's going to be a little odd. It's a 5-part series that I'm calling Managerial Therapy, which sounds kind of crazy in and of itself. The idea is that many times when we become managers, we are given so many different types of training, operational training and how to deal with people and progressive discipline and HR, and it's always involving someone else or some other thing. This series is different. This series is about you, squarely about you. So the way that I want you to engage in this is to consider being introspective, to consider the mindset of a manager. You know, I've often said that when I became manager, and I'm sure the same was for you, that when you became manager, you didn't know what you didn't know. You didn't know what you were going to expect. You were a great salesperson. The next thing you know, you're managing other salespeople and doing all these things, and you're having a reaction to it. And that's what this first part is about. It's about questioning the job. Not questioning whether or not it's a good job or bad job. It's just questions you need to ask yourself now that you're manager. So I would ask you to sit back, relax, and think about how you would answer these questions. Now, normally I would have a lot of activities, and maybe this is just the one activity is ask yourself questions, consider the answers, and then move from there. The first one is, how does the job matter? How does it matter to you? Now, I know how it matters to the organization because you are a point of distribution. You sell widgets, you sell your product, you sell to customers. And that's how it matters because you want to make money. I mean, that's what retail organizations do. That's not the question. The question is, how does it matter to you? What parts of it matter to you? What parts of it matter most or least? The second question is, what matters most in the job? Now, one might say there, well, profit. And I would agree. Retail organizations need to be profitable. Again, this is about you. What matters most to you in the job? Is it the interaction with your team? Is it the game of trying to sell stuff? Is it the customer? Is it making sure that you're operationally efficient? Consider the answer to that question. How does it matter most to you? Also, how do you respond to the demands? The demands of the job are great. I would say that the store manager's job is probably the hardest in retail. You have so much to consider and so much on your plate. So how do you respond to the job? How do you react when various things come up, like change, or when a new product is launched, or if you have a new operational system to run? How do you respond? Next is, how do you determine your best or your worst? You could say it's metrics. You could say it's your scorecard. I'm either winning or losing. Well, that's an obvious answer. Again, how do you determine your best and your worst with regards to the job? I find that when I think about this, I know what matters most in my job is making sure that my client is happy. Well, that may not be the same for you, and I know that when they're happy, then I know that I've performed my best. Next one, who's leading or in charge of your life? That sounds a little tree-huggy, I get that. You could say it's your supervisor or your boss. Well, I think it needs to be more than that. I think it's about people that we surround ourselves in our life that help influence and amplify the things that we do well. For instance, my wife. She's a great amplifier in what I do professionally. She has great feedback. I know that my clients are also leading my decision-making because of their feedback and their encouragement. So who's leading your life? Next is, when did you start and what did you feel? When you started, I'm sure you felt excited. I mean, there's so many things you wanted to do, and you got a new pay raise, and then you hit the wall and said, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. So when did you start your job? Has it been 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or 5 days ago? And then think about the last job you left. We're going to be talking later about why people leave a job. Well, when will you leave this job? I know that sounds like a very terrible question to ask, but I think it's a necessary question. Most people don't stay very long in retail and they go into something else. So when will you leave? Or is this a career? Next is, what would others say about your abilities? If I gathered your team together and I said, okay, how's your manager doing at leading and coaching and giving meetings and all that stuff? What would they say? Have you considered what others would say? What's your legacy with your team? And the last one, and perhaps the most important question, is, what needs to change? What needs to change in your job? Do you need more training? Do you need more support? Do you need more feedback and recognition? You need someone to pat you on the back and say thank you. What is it you need? Answer these questions. That's the activity for this week or this month or this year, is consider your job and ask these questions and consider your answers and then move on. This is part 1 in managerial therapy. Next is part 2.